Welcome to the New School Real Estate Pod. This is a podcast for real estate agents everywhere who are looking to start from scratch or relaunch their business. Our goal is to bring you an amazing guest every single episode who will share something that you can implement in your business today. Let's get into our newest episode. Hey everybody, and welcome back. As always, it is award-winning sales representative Robert Marsiglio, and I'm joined by my co-host today,
Gabriela Batista, award-winning sales representative, and we have a lot of firsts for this episode today, Rob. Let's talk about these firsts.
We do. So I think there's a few firsts. I can think of three firsts off the top of my head.
Three.
Today is not a traditional real estate focused podcast. This is going to help you with your real estate business, but we're not talking door knocking strategies or social media strategies or any of these things. It's something a little different in the sense we're going to be talking about mindset. The second first, Gabriel, we're pumped about this one. We actually have somebody who has never won an award in real estate as a guest today. Very excited. That's Miss Jacklyn.
I don't know about pumped. We were kind of debating on doing this episode because I feel like every real estate agent has to have an award. So maybe she might win an award by just being on the podcast. So we're excited about that.
Exactly. That's it. And again, it's our first ever kind of East Coast, West Coast podcast. Jacklyn is based out of San Diego, and Jamie is in the great city of Toronto with us here. So Jamie and Jacklyn, welcome to the podcast. The collective, the Be Do Have movement in the flesh. This is very nice to see you both in person here.
Likewise. Thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
We're excited to be here.
I have one more first. This is the first 4-person podcast. We've always had 3. Oh, we're on a roll today, Rob. I think we just won an extra award. So
yeah, this is awesome. This is wicked. I'm loving it. So Jamie, sorry, go ahead, Gabe. Yeah.
No, I was going to say welcome for having. We really appreciate you guys on. I'm excited about this. I think it's something that's, although Rob mentioned it's a first in terms of not talking about typical real estate strategy. I think this is the real estate strategy because no matter what business you're in, you need this type of mindset training, or you just need it in your everyday life. So I think we're going to touch on a lot of things that we haven't yet, and we should be.
Most definitely. I want to start kind of, guys, I want our audience to get to know you a little bit. So Jamie, you had a very successful sales career in real estate for 20 plus years. Am I right in saying that?
Over 30, my man, 30. Yeah, I probably started selling real estate before you guys were born.
Definitely
not me. Definitely Gabe, but not me.
Definitely.
Tell us a bit about that journey, Jamie, evolving from where you are, and then we'll bring Jacklyn in when the timeline meets up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Started when I was 22 years old. I was trying to sell a vacuum cleaner to the president of the real estate board. And he basically said, "What the hell are you doing? If you can sell this, you should sell houses." And that led me down a path that ended up becoming my career. I had my real estate license since 1986 and was a full-time active agent for 23 and a half years, award-winning at a couple different companies, built out a real estate team, and then got to a point where I was actually bored and thought there had to be something else. And that's when I made the decision to transition into leadership, and we opened up a couple offices in Toronto. And then lost that loving feeling again and walked away from the industry that I had known my entire life and started the Be Do Have movement with Jacklyn in 2019.
And what's that been like starting that up, Jacklyn?
I think it's been a bit of a whirlwind, right? Like I came, as much as you said, like mindset, well, you said it perfectly. It's for every single industry. Number one, if you're a business owner, you're dealing with it. And I think there's this I think people aren't necessarily always aware of it, but it shows up in terms of, are you consistent? How are you dealing with failure in your business? So I felt these things very much from a corporate space before coming into Be Do Have. And similar to Jamie, though, I was just at a point where I was like, I'm not happy doing this anymore. Like it was no longer, I guess there was more anxiety coming up than there was joy. So that's when that transition needed to happen. And Jamie and I started just helping him out with some stuff and was like, hey, like I want to partner up and do this, because when you find something where you're able to help and serve and there's fulfillment in it, like you got to follow your heart with something like that. So it's been a journey, but worth every step of the way.
Amazing.
Awesome. I want to jump in on both of your intros. You both mentioned that you were doing something in a business that you weren't in love with, or you fell out of love with that feeling. do you find maybe that was because the lack of mindset? What was the reason maybe that you guys had that shift in attitude towards the careers you guys have done very well in?
Go ahead,
I'll go
Jacklyn.
on that one. I think mindset, the field I was in was not even discussed. I came from a marketing and like an advertising space, and it was more of a very traditional, and maybe that's similar to sales. I'll let you speak on that, Jamie, but it was all you're grinding every single day. You're expected to put in 8 to 10 hours. The pay is not going to match that until 5 to 10 years. And that's just the industry. That's how it works. So burnout was 100% expected. And I think a lot of people grinded through. And I certainly got to a point where it was like, if no one else is happy, and no one's going to do anything about it, like I can't sit in that. How much longer can that last?
And for me, it was purpose. I've always loved what I've done. I've been blessed. I think back and I've just never felt I've worked in my life. I worked my butt off, yet I loved what I did. I loved helping clients buy property. I loved helping them fulfill their dream of home ownership. I actually wasn't as passionate about real estate itself. I just loved the client experience. And then when I transitioned into opening up the offices and coaching our agents, I loved that experience too. I loved helping them build and grow their businesses, watching them flourish. So the common denominator for me was I just loved helping people hit their goals. And the fulfillment wasn't as strong anymore versus the opportunity that I saw not only in real estate, but outside of real estate. Because this whole mindset piece, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You can be a real estate agent in any sales industry, small business owner, a human being that has a life to live. Mindset is key. So I just saw the massive opportunity outside, and more importantly, I was following my hopes and dreams and aspirations. So it was a big decision to walk away from something that's all I knew. But I had the confidence of knowing I had something I think was pretty special, and I could take it and share it with more people. And then to partner with Jacklyn along the way was something I never saw at the time. It's been the biggest opportunity and gift that I think we've had doing this together and watching this business grow and expand. And we've helped hundreds of clients now internationally, and I feel we're just getting started. So we're big believers in following that passion. That's key, first of all. And I think I'd like to talk to about that, Rob, with new agents coming in, right? Like, how do you build a business? Well,
Definitely.
Follow your passion. Lead generate based on what you love to do.
So just so people know a bit of the backstory, this is, I kind of joked before we started the podcast, and it was maybe even before Jacklyn came on, but it's my worlds colliding moment. So Jacklyn and Jamie, in that order, they're my coaches as well on the whole mindset piece. And then obviously Gabe, my podcast partner. But I think what you guys have
the guy who bothers you on a daily basis.
yeah, it's like, come on, Rob, do this right now. Anyways, but I think you two have really opened my eyes to the importance of goal setting. I think when I got even into the industry on the sales side of things, I knew talking goals of agents from my past experience, but I didn't really incorporate it in my own life. So Jamie, you talked about chasing goals, and can you just talk a little bit about the importance of Jamie and Jacklyn, like having that something to shoot for right out of the gate?
And Rob, can I ask, when you started, was it a thing you did in your business at all for you? Or was that something new that you really interesting? Okay, and that's very common. And I think I'll start, Jamie, and I'll let you jump in. But obviously, Jamie's my dad. So I was very much brought up with a space around that. And I always find it fascinating because it's not something we're traditionally taught. I think you learn it a little bit in school and that's it, like elementary maybe, and you stop. We don't really focus on that. So it's learning to continue to push ourselves and continue to just get clarity and direction. Like, where do you want to go next? And then what steps can you take along the way to get there? And who do you need to be in that process?
Yeah, goal achieving or goal setting is something that, again, I learned very early on and just thought everybody did it and realized that most people don't. The vast majority of people don't actually set goals and then track their goals. A lot of people might set their goals, and I think January 1st is a great example, right? New Year's affirmations, resolutions, I'm going to do this, and then you get sober and you forget all about it. That's how most people set goals, right? And then you realize that, what stops us from doing it? So do we have a belief that we are goal achievers? So that's one of the things we like to talk about is, let's look at examples in our lives where we've set a goal or we've set an intention and then we actually achieved it. So once we understand that we've all done this, we're all goal achievers. So what's stopping us from then setting goals in our business or our life that we can now track? So once we get on that trajectory, then we're really living a life that we are creating based on our hopes, desires, dreams, and wants. And goal setting is just basically setting a direction, right? If you're going to fly to LA or fly to San Diego, well, the autopilot gets set and it goes. If you're going to Mexico, well, you figure out the road and you go. But why the frig aren't we taught how to do this in life? It's crazy. So for me in business, numbers are so easy to track because it's a reflection of what we're doing or not doing. So numbers expose you. So if you set a goal and you're behind, a lot of times people don't like to talk about their numbers because there's accountability to that. And they don't want to say, oh, shit, I'm not doing the work. I'm behind. So we don't even talk about it. And then they end up where they end up. And that's where mindset plays such a big part, because if we don't understand where we're going and then hold ourselves accountable or have others to keep us on track, we're going to end up where we end up. And then we just live the same pattern over and over. So we're sort of stuck in a mindset of what we think is possible. And we like to focus on, let's create a bigger belief, first of all. So what do you want? And then start to step into believing that that's even possible. And the minute you do that, we realize, okay, we're going to have to change our thinking and our habits, because what we do gives us a result. So we create new habits, boom, we achieve new results really fast.
And I like that because the idea that it's so simple to, want to start, but the moment you think of it as a whole in terms of mindset, you're setting goals that are accountable and are measurable. And they're not just, okay, we're going to make $200,000 this year. There's more to that than just, the number and dig deep. And so my next question there is, how do people tend to start? Like when you say mindset, at least the way I'm looking at it from afar is there's so much when I think of mindset that I can kind of grasp in so many different directions. What is the best way for, I'll bring it back to real estate, but let's say a new agent or an agent who does not even consider mindset to be a thing. What's their best way to begin, taking control of their mindset?
Jamie, I'll open with that and let you hop
please,
in.
go
But
for
I
it.
think majority of people that we work with come because they want a specific growth in their business. Like that's definitely the tangible outcome. So as much as we're talking about, yes, it's mindset that's going to get you there. I think a lot of people come in like, I want to grow my business by this amount within this year, and I want the growth to look like this. Great. Like that's the end goal. So how that mindset's all the stuff in between that everyone thinks you don't have to do just to get that end goal. And I'll let you go, Jamie.
They say success is 95. The results of success are 95% based on mindset. So if you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you're right. So as a brand new agent coming in, and I love this when I was recruiting agents, most of the time, brand new people coming into real estate, they want to make $100,000. That was just like, that was the number. Because 6 figures, right? Most people in the world don't make that. So that was their number. So we would start with that number. And then what I would like to do is build it even bigger than that for people. So I made their initial goal look small, because if we set this big goal that we've never achieved before, it can be daunting. So let me help you stretch that a little bit more. So I would help people get to 250 a year. And that's scary as hell. You have no clue how you're going to do it. Yet now all of a sudden 100 is small compared to 250. And then we build a belief process and a belief system. And as soon as people start to believe that that's even possible, that's really the beginning of mindset, Gabe. If you don't believe the goal is achievable, you're not going to achieve it. You're not going to even step into it. You'll self-sabotage and it'll fall apart before you even start. So belief is one of the first steps in mindset. Is let's set a goal that you believe is possible.
That's very interesting. Because I was going to say, that's something that I maybe struggle with, where just when it comes to goals, and, I do a similar thing where I maybe double my goal, for example, and I look at that number, I'm like, wow, like there's no way that's possible. And maybe I'm even getting into a bit of a trap there, because I know in my head, oh, that's not possible. But that's already putting me one step behind in that case, because it's, I'm already lowering my standard of goals and setting in my daily activities.
Great awareness. See, it starts with awareness. So as we become aware of how we respond or react to goals, then we can shift the focus. Right? So instead of, imagine this mindset. Imagine setting a goal and just knowing it's done. As soon as you set that intention, it's done. I've hit the goal. And then we ask ourselves, how am I going to make that happen? How's it possible? Yes mindset, right, Rob? We talked about this. Saying yes to opportunity. Say yes that you can achieve that goal. So just owning it the minute you set it. And then we don't have to worry about doubt or fear of it, or is it possible, because it's already done. So it's living in this whole be, do, have philosophy. So like you start to live as if you've already achieved a goal. How's that going to make you feel? Start to imagine, use your imagination. Like, okay, you've hit this number. How are you going to feel? What are you going to do? Are you going to be more confident? Who are you going to hang out with? How are you going to meet clients? So you just start to ask yourself different questions. And as you start to do that, we also believe that we have all the answers within. So we start to understand that as we ask ourselves better questions, we get better answers that are going to lead us to our goal. But the goal is achieved the minute you set it. Like that is a whole mindset right away. So there's no room for doubt, right? As soon as doubt shows up, and doubt, anytime we set a big goal, doubt's going to show up.
And I think we're really,
right? Just
we're really,
go ahead, Jacqueline.
We're really conditioned to react like that. Like that fear that you're talking about, like the disbelief in something is exactly what we're almost taught to do. So through mindset shifts, through belief changes, habit changes, your performance starts changing, and then you're changing your state. So that's when everything, it ties right into what Jamie was saying. That's when you start to show up differently every single day. That's when you write down, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go, keep going.
You write down that new goal for yourself that's doubling something, and you don't feel that resistance. And it's slowly, it's all over time, right? It's day by day.
And I think that one thing I've learned, and you can talk more to this if you feel like I'm not doing it justice, but the goal is definitely there to aim for, and you have achieved it the moment you set it. But it's all about who you become and kind of trying to achieve that goal, right? That's the be, do, have philosophy right there. It's like, who am I becoming on my way to achieving this goal?
Or you've already achieved it. Like you've already achieved the goal. Just imagine what it feels like. I've already achieved the goal. It's just a different energy, right? It's just, there's nothing to chase. I've already achieved it. And Rob, you've heard us talk about the whole purpose of a goal is to grow. It's not even achieving the goal. Whatever that number is, it's just a number. The purpose is, who do you need to become to make that your reality? Step into that, which means you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be pushed to the outer limits. You're going to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to do things different. You have to grow. And as you do that, you become more. And the minute you become more, life changes. Habits change. So mindsets, it's a general term. And I think it sort of gets lost. Like, yeah, we know we need mindset. What's mindset? Well, I need to be positive. Yeah, I know. So what? Now what? It's getting into a state that, okay, I believe that I have the ability and I have the confidence to achieve any goal I set. Set the goal, it's done. Now step into living that as if it's already happened long before it even happens. But the minute you do that, it actually, things start to come for you, to you. Life happens for you that it just shows up so fast.
It really is that.
Go ahead. This whole East Coast, West Coast thing, it looks great on paper.
The time zone's messing us up, eh? I think.
But no, it's fine. It's like, I do love Zoom because we're able to do this. But anyways, go ahead, Jacqueline.
It really, I was just going to say, is that like becoming component along the way. Like you almost want to look back to where you were a year ago. And you want to be cringing at what that person was doing and like what you looked like doing something for the first time. Because if not, it means you're not pushing your mindset and you're not pushing your capabilities along the way. So I think that is always the goal, pushing yourself, being uncomfortable, saying yes, and moving forward.
Talk to us a bit about some recent market research you've been doing. What are the big blocks you see? And maybe we've touched a bit early in the podcast, but the blocks to reaching income goals. Like, we're talking about goals. What are the big things that you see coming up in people's minds from this research you did? Again, we'll tell people how to get in touch with you at the end of the podcast, but kind of let us know, open that can of worms for us.
I'll let you dive in, but I just want to say that not being in real estate and reading through the results, I was in tears. Because first of all, it's something we've all been through. It's not at all industry specific. There's certain things, of course, definitely are. But I think in real estate, you are a business owner. So you're facing challenges with consistency. You're facing not following through with the goal that you've set, not reaching out to your clients and your database. Like, they're very similar things in every single industry, and just feeling completely alone in the process and not motivated. and not taking a step forward. So for me, it was a huge, like, because it was agents that we focused on for that. And it was a huge, like, aha moment of, I'm not alone, we're not alone, and no one has to go through this alone.
Yeah, confidence showed up. I don't have the confidence to do it. Don't believe I can do it. I don't have the business or database for real estate agents. I don't have the number of clients. That showed up. Feeling stuck. I've tried something once, it didn't work. So now what do I do? And it just kept showing up over and over. We interviewed probably 50 people, and we asked a series of questions, and we saw this keep showing up over and over and over again. And this scheduling was the other one. Those were the top 5. So, I set a schedule, but I get pulled off track. So, who's in charge, right? So in other words, we're not controlling our life. We're letting other people pull us off track. So these things keep showing up. So when we understand that, Jacklyn and I looked at it and thought, okay, let's look at really what's the underlying cause of all this. And it's this belief in yourself and your ability. Do you believe your goal is achievable? And if it's achievable and you've already lived it in our mind first, then all these other things, like how easy is it going to be to stay on track on your schedule when you know that you have these things that have to get done, because that's what top goal achievers do. It's easy to say no when you're focused, when you have clarity. So lack of clarity was another big one. Like, I'm starting, but what the hell am I doing? How do I get there? So it just kept showing up over and over. So we look at it from a mindset perspective and say, okay, what are the underlying causes here? And belief in self is definitely the number one. Lack of clarity is number 2. That keeps showing up all the time.
And why do you think, because you said, I didn't know you just interviewed agents for that type of stuff. Why do you find that's a very overwhelming? We'll get maybe to the new school part of our podcast. Do you find that it's maybe a default a default thought of agents that, they can do this and getting into it. And when they get in the business, they automatically realize, oh, wow, it's a different type of business. Why do you feel like it was such a overwhelming, consistent response?
We show up with what we have, right? Our current thinking. So where do we get our thoughts? Like, why do we think what we think? Well, we're taught from our parents. School teaches, society teaches us, culture teaches us. So we have all these belief systems that are impressed upon us. And we own that. We take that as our thinking, where the reality is it's not. It's impressed upon us. So when brand new agents come into the business, number one is they're not really taught that this is a business. So they're not taught to think like business people, right? That's number one. Everyone thinks it's going to be easier because I know all these friends and family members are going to work with me, which probably won't happen for the first few years. And it's actually work. You have to create a plan. You have to create a system. You have to figure out your way to generate business and leads. Like when I was starting, I picked up the phone. My broker said, go knock on doors. So I did. I knocked on doors. I've made cold calls. I got really, really good at it. But for most people, they're not going to do that. That's not exciting. That's not fun. So I would be recommending to anybody starting in real estate is, what is your passion? What do you love to do? And figure out a way to build a business around that. Because now you're going to do it and it's not going to feel like work. And I think that's the big piece is you come in and it feels like work. Gabe, it's daunting. Like, think back when you first started, right? You had all these hopes and dreams. You're going to come in, you're going to knock it out of the park. Well, statistically, most won't. And they just don't understand this whole journey and process. So if they're not surrounded with great people that help reinforce their belief in themselves, they're going to end up beating themselves up and then they beat themselves out of the industry.
Yeah.
And even the people who don't put as much of an emphasis on the mindset consciously, like the successful people are subconsciously doing all these things that you're talking about, Jamie.
Yeah, they're
not labeling it. They're not labeling it, but they're doing those things.
They're what we call unconscious competence. They're doing certain things consistently all the time, and that generates the result. So when we can really start to then understand what we're doing, why we do it, we become consciously aware, then we're conscious competence. So now we're doing it with the reason and knowing why it works. And now you can really utilize it to your advantage because then you can explain it to somebody else. That's when you understand. But a lot of successful people, they can't explain what creates their success. They'll tell you it's this or that. But underneath the surface, they can't articulate the fact that it's maintaining that right mindset, knowing that you have to be strong no matter what. whenever, understanding this whole process of running any business, real estate or opening up a hair salon, we all go through this stuff in our mind, and how we have to be so strong and overcome doubt when doubt shows up. It's easy to overcome doubt when you're on a roll, right? You guys know this. Anybody in real estate, you go sell 4 or 5 homes, you're the champ. Well, you go 4 months without selling a house, you're not feeling like a champ anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And then we get into doubt, and then we get into all these fears. There's mindset. That's how mindset can pull us off track of our goals. And we see it in all businesses, right, Jacklyn? It's not just real estate. It's always great for me because Jacklyn's not from a real estate background.
Totally.
So it's great to see a different perspective.
That perspective is amazing. Totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like that gives you guys an edge with the fact that you can work with, real estate agents, other business owners. You have so many different perspectives working with clientele. And it's not just a one size fits all solution. It probably jumps into our next point. Jacklyn, Rob was raving about this beforehand. Talk to us about your 5-star mornings. And
I was trying to come up with a good segue for this, Gabe, and you're just going right for it over here.
I had to take it away from you. I'm like, gold mine, I just took it.
Go for it.
So it's basically 5 things to set yourself up for success. So the goal is you want to create space, and it's all routine, right? You start with one thing at a time. You slowly start to build until you're doing it every single day. And it's waking up first thing, no alarm. That to this day, I've been doing this for 2 years, is still the hardest one or you wake up with an alarm, but you get up on the first alarm.
No snooze, baby.
No snooze.
No snooze. The second is getting into some form of meditation. So the order doesn't even matter. Just you want to hit these 5 things. You want to be reflecting. So whether that's journaling or giving yourself space to think through things, reading or learning something. So some people, that's a podcast. You want to read a book in the morning, but creating that practice. And then some type of movement. So could be stretching in your front room, like it doesn't have to be a big thing, but it's just creating a space so that we're showing up at our best. And when you start to be consistent with it, you're then building a promise with yourself. And that starts to build confidence, and just you're putting your best foot forward every single day.
And when you taught me this, Jacklyn, you shared this. I don't even know if I learned it before going through the course with you guys, but like from you, it was I'm giving you all the credit here, Jacklyn. It reminded me of Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I feel like he talks about habit stacking. And as a realtor, you get into, like I said, chasing the money or chasing, I want to help people, and you forget about yourself. So to take care of number one first, that solid 5-star routine in the morning, that's a habit you can be building the rest of your day off of. Like hit those, like I said on calls before with you guys, I just wake up to my first alarm. I'm like, great, I can check off one of the 5 things I have to do already, and I've been up for 5 seconds. Like, it's amazing the mindset, getting back to the mindset it puts you in first thing in the morning, doing this exercise.
And even if you have an off day, like knowing that you've done those 5 things for yourself, those are accomplishments. Mm-hmm. That's all we're doing every single day, is mini accomplishments.
That's it.
Celebrating them and acknowledging them.
Yes.
I start every coaching call with, tell me something good. Like, let's get into a frame mindset, a frame of mind that we're focusing on the good. It becomes a habit after a time. For a lot of us, it's not a habit initially, because everyone can tell you all the shit that's in their life and it's not working, right? They can give you the whole list of that, and then ask them for something good, and it's like this perplexed look. Right? It's like, I don't know. Well, I'm a simple guy. I woke up today. So I wake up with a great attitude every day, and I'm sparky and I love it.
There you go.
Right? So it can only get better after that. So if we can focus on that, and that's what I love what Jacklyn's done with this 5-star morning for herself, and just made the commitment to follow through and do it over and over. What do champions do, right? They just do the basics consistently over and over to the point it doesn't even seem like work. It's effortless. And when you can set this intentionally in the morning to run at a level 10, how easy is the rest of the day?
Right. That's it.
Yeah, it's really well said. Anyways, this was a really cool conversation to get a sense of everything going on. I feel like I just learned a ton in the past. Has it been 30 minutes? Like,
we do this selfully, Gabe. Like, this isn't for anybody else. It's for you.
This is smart. You guys are so smart.
It's amazing.
The podcast was made for us. You think we're gonna? Yeah, this
Perfect.
is definitely for us. My final thought, and I guess selfishly, I'll mention, the one way I always look at things is getting 1% better every day. And you guys are my 1% today. So I'm going to leave the viewers with, so this is their 1% too, and some value that can be added. Speaking of value that you guys can add, where can people find you if they're interested in learning more about what you guys can do to help grow their business?
I would 100% say go to our site, be2havemovement.com. We talked a lot today about who you want to be. And the first step is understanding who you are. So we do have a free self-discovery quiz on there to help you get started with that process. You can also book a free call with Jamie on our website there as well.
And social. Jacklyn always tells me, go to social.
Yeah.
Instagram. Oh,
Instagram.
I can't believe she forgot that.
This is great. I was like, this is such a big switch.
This is
right
what
here.
I've been waiting for. She gives it to me.
Yes, let's go.
That's funny.
One
Instagram,
last question-
Facebook.
One last question I'll leave you with. If someone's listening to this and they realize, you know what's something that maybe they're going through in the day that makes them realize, you know what, I should reach out to you. Is there anything that maybe their thoughts of the day are going that make them realize I should reach out to you guys? Is there anything that is like, I should give them a call? Is there anything that maybe is in their head right now?
I'll go first here. I think the second in your head something goes to, I want more than this.
And if you're feeling stuck or you know there's so much more potential, that's an opportunity that you're guiding yourself, that now start to find somebody that can help you, something that can help you, and just follow your direction, follow your lead. I really do believe everybody has what they need within. So follow yourself, follow that intuition. And if you can get, really clear on the intuition and allow that to guide you, it's your autopilot. We all have it. And then we'll guide ourselves to whatever's next. So if you're ever feeling, there's more and I'm feeling stuck, then that's an opportunity for sure.
I love it. Love it. Gabe, you want to wrap us up, buddy?
Of course. People got to make it a first and they got to contact you. I don't know. That's the 5th first of the day. Anyways, everyone, well, we appreciate you guys listening to New School Real Estate. This has been a very New School podcast, and we look forward to having our next New School podcast shortly. You guys will learn some awesome tips, learn from awesome people, and get 1% better every day. That's my plug. Anyways, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jacklyn. Everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay busy and talk soon. Bye, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And that's the end of our episode of New School Real Estate. Thank you for tuning in and listening to all the great value that our guests had to provide today. Hopefully you can take away one thing from what we spoke about and apply it to your business and truly make it New School. If you are a new or growing agent looking for some supports to grow your real estate business, feel free to reach out to Robert or myself on social media. We'd be happy to have a conversation. But until next time, make it a day and stay busy, my friends.